time is short and we have to do everything that we would want to do, like are we kind of feel like I'm holding the world in my hands. This is seriously dangerous because he died 9 times and they brought him back to life 9 times.
Wow.
So it was a bit of luck, really. You hassle them until they have a choice, right? They either call the police to get rid of you or they just put it up, right? Anybody knows what a good idea is. And you calculate it and you're like, yes. And then, so what you have to do is build all your little steps of validation.
Come on.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so welcome to another episode of the Billionaire Habit podcast, the Dubai Burj Khalifa episodes. And today I'm with a special guest, right? High level adventure. I mean, we're just talking. When in my next life, I want to be like him. His name is Paris Norris.
Why not this life? Why not this life?
I'm not sure I can meet up this life. But next life, I'll be prepared. How are you doing today?
I'm great. It's good to meet you.
And thank you for coming.
No,
I appreciate it.
A pleasure.
So we got talking earlier about this, your rowing through the Pacific, and you were talking about the recording session. So please continue.
Yeah, so the challenge that I'm working on right now is one of the toughest challenges in the world, but certainly the toughest challenge I can think of. We're rowing for 40 days continuously for 4,800 kilometers across the Pacific as a team of 4. It has been done before, but by so few people that more people have gone to space than have rowed the Pacific. By a considerable amount. I think only 81 people have crossed it. So we'll be in the top 100 people to ever attempt it. Okay. For much of the journey, the closest people to us will be astronauts. Wow. That's how remote we are. So like it's not like a busy shipping lane or something like this. Wow. So we're unassisted. So we have to be ready with, we have to have the right amount of food. We have to know about emergency procedures. If the boat capsizes, someone breaks their arm. What do we do?
If someone falls sick?
If someone falls sick? Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, falling sick is going to happen to all of us. In fact, what we were told by the experts that we consult with, everything that we've ever had before, any virus, any disease, it's coming back on the boat. Wow. Because you're doing 12 hours of rowing each a day for 40 days. So what happens when you train physically for such long periods of time is your immune system starts to stop working and break down, and anything you've ever had, it recurs. And now you've got it again, but now you've got to row while you're doing it. So and you're in a boat only 7 meters long with the 4 of you on it. So you have to we're all trained in first aid, so we have to understand, right, how do we fix our friend's problem? So here's the thing is, like, some of these things are not nice to think about. Like we're sat on a seat for 12 hours rowing. One of the most common problems, and this is quite disgusting, is people get infected hair follicles on their bum. So you get a red spotty bum, which then gets infected and it becomes difficult to sit down. So the question is what do you do about it? Well, you've got to ask your friend for help because, you need to disinfect it, right? So you've got to think, okay, are we in it to win it, right? Because if we're in it to win it, then you've got to help your friend out. Also things like hemorrhoids and things like, so there's a lot of things that just will go that way. And you have to fix them. So, if you're going to be an effective team, you've got to be able to tackle those situations as quickly as...
Why do this? Why?
Well, there's a few reasons. I mean, people ask me, and there's a lot of pain involved, a lot of
so
seclusion.
Why do it?
Yeah. So I think the basis for pretty much most of my decisions is always around some kind of thirst for adventure, right? I have a curiosity to see things, to kind of feel like I'm holding the world in my hands. I like, this morning I just went for a trek. Just a small one locally by, but I like to be in the outdoors. I like to see what I can see. It's So with this, there's definitely a sense of adventure. You know, we're going to be joined by on the same route as 6 whale migrations.
Wow.
There's a huge amount of dolphins and other wildlife. So we will, you know, one guy who attempted this in the Atlantic was accompanied by a humpback whale for 12 days.
Wow.
Just him and the humpback.
Wow.
So, I mean, like, when things like that happen, there's nothing you can pay for or sign up to that can give you this kind of like special experience in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and when we arrive there, we arrive in Hawaii, and it's not where Honolulu is. It's the second to last island of Hawaii. It's called Kauai, and it's nicknamed the Garden Island, and it's where Jurassic Park was filmed.
Wow.
And it's, if you remember the scene where they come into Jurassic Park, it's this epic island that just like erupts out of the sea, and you know, sort of green and like mountains, and it's just the most
beautiful
and unbelieving thing you can see. And so you can imagine 40 days we haven't seen anything, and we come into Hawaii the same way that the Polynesians would have when they found Hawaii, you know, over 1,000 years ago, by mastering the trade winds, by mastering the navigation. The difference is we're doing it 1,000 years later with a specially designed ocean rowing boat, with top fitness training that's been developed over years, with freeze-dried food, solar panels, and a water maker on our boat. So we're doing it in the modern way, which is a lot easier. But at least we will have some grasp of the feeling of what the human achievement has reached even so long ago, when the Polynesians managed to master the navigations of the Pacific. And the Pacific is so big, and if you ever, nobody really does this, but if you turn, you know, we look at the map where you see the continents in front of you, if you turn it the other way around, the whole other side is the Pacific. It's bigger than all the land mass on the planet. So if I say to you I'm rowing across the Pacific, that's one thing. But if I was to say I'm rowing across a geographical location bigger than all of the land on Earth. That's
massive.
It feels big now, yeah. So there's a sense of adventure. There's definitely a sense of human achievement and accomplishment to try something that's so difficult and
amazing,
big like that. But then we are also doing this to raise money for charity.
Oh, beautiful! I wanted to get to that.
Yeah.
Like, what's the mission?
Yeah, so we're raising money for the Blue Marine Foundation and the Invictus Games. The Blue Marine Foundation have a goal to conserve 30% of the world's oceans, because if you can conserve 30% of the world's ocean, then it allows the regeneration of wildlife to the level that it will actually spread across the rest of the oceans, right? So this is their goal, and they're trying to do that, I believe, by 2030. Okay. So one of the things from doing what I do with my adventures, and I have a TV show where I go on adventures, is you start to really appreciate the outdoors and what we have, and you do start to think, hang on a minute, I need to do a little bit here to see how we can preserve this for everybody, because this is special. So we're raising money for the Blue Marine Foundation. The other one is the Invictus Games. The reason for that, it was really sort of brought to us by one of our crewmates who was in the military for, I think, 11 years. He was a Royal Marine, and then he was in the Light Dragoons. He served in Afghanistan. And one day on a mission in Afghanistan, a explosive flew in and exploded, and it blew off the legs of one of his crew. He was the captain. There's actually a video of this where he's actually calling for helicopter airlift and gets him out of there. He, and I hope my facts are correct with this, it's probably a story he should be telling, not me, but if I understand correctly, he got the British record for the most number of deaths, because he died 9 times and they brought him back to life 9 times.
Wow.
So, you know, there was a very small chance that he was going to make it, and this guy...
how old is he now?
So it's a similar age to me, I believe. So I'm 37. So yeah, and so I think
he's died 9 times.
He's died 9 times, and then within the year, he rowed across the Atlantic Ocean, and now has done it twice.
Ooh. So and he's doing yours again.
He was actually on our team, but unfortunately, because of one of his expeditions, is now rolled on past past the time it was meant to. He now can't join us, but that was part of the inspiration of my crewman, and because of that, he wanted to see how we can support a charity that gives to fallen soldiers, and that's the Invictus Games, which is
amazing.
That charity. So I won't say that the main reason we're doing this is charity, because if it was, then I don't have to row across the Pacific Ocean to do that. Right?
Very true. But it's one of the reasons.
It's one of the reasons. It's something that is a key component of the whole thing. Yeah. But I think, like I said, I think that the real reason and the real motivation for anything has to come from within. There's an adventure there that I want to have, and it should be fun.
How many adventures have you done in total?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it depends what you classify as an adventure, because
Mount Everest, have you done that?
No, but that's something I've been talking about. So after the rowing, I'm planning to do some mountain expeditions. Okay. Because I'll be nice and fit then, which would be great. Because my fitness and my motivation kind of goes up and down. So I want to hit it while I'm in good form. Yeah. Now I'm sort of being talked out of doing Mount Everest, which is
why?
Which is the tallest mountain in the world. Is also extremely expensive. Right, so you're looking at a lot of money, especially if you want to film up there. Oh. Right, now you've got big fees. Wow. And as far as mountains go, it's not a difficult mountain. Okay. It's like a seriously long hike. Yeah. So there's more difficult and more dangerous mountains. So people are saying, look, you need to skip that one and just go straight to K2, which is the most difficult mountain, or considered the most difficult, one of the most dangerous mountains.
Which one?
It's in Pakistan. It's called K2.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, okay, well, if I'm gonna go to K2, then there's other mountains I need to climb to train, because this is climbing up an ice wall with ice pickaxes like this. Wow. That's at altitude where so this is seriously dangerous. Wow. And seriously hard. So let's just say I've got ideas. What I'm gonna do, I don't know, but
which is your favorite so far? It's adventurous experience you've had.
So, this year I traveled to what I call the Holy Land, but on the map you can see it as Israel and Palestine. Yeah. And I went there to film an episode of my new travel show, which isn't released yet, called Guy in the Sky. Okay. And this was episode 1, in fact. And let's say it was a lot of small adventures combined into one. So it was me discovering ancient history, right from the Chalcolithic period, sort of 6,000 years ago, where I was in a copper mine that was one of the oldest copper mines ever found, which was...
Is it in Palestine or?
It's now in modern day Israel in a place called Timna. Okay. And what's interesting about this is the ancient Egyptians mined there as well. So
the Egyptian Empire probably spread to that part.
Yes, it did. And when I was in Egypt, sort of 6 months before then, I was fascinated because as I was in the museum and learning about all the pharaohs. Yeah. When you get to the kind of 19th, 20th dynasty, you start seeing that they were doing mining in the Sinai. Yeah. And you calculate it and you're like, that's not close. That's far away. So they were extremely advanced.
Yes, they were.
And so there I am, 6 months after that, actually in one of these mines, looking at the hieroglyphics on the wall. Yeah. And trying to piece together history through the story of the Holy Land, because it's been a magnetic place for some very big figures in history. Abraham, Jesus, Muhammad.
I saw your picture in one of the most disputed mosques. Where I think Abraham was to slaughter Isaac. Yeah. I wonder why they gave you permission to that place.
So
How did you get that?
Yeah, so that is so in the Temple Mount, what you actually saw in the photo was the Dome of the Rock. Yes. Right? The Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is actually the most one of the most
disputed.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Is just 200 meters in front of where I was stood.
Okay.
So the belief is that they call it the Dome of the Rock because underneath this marvelous building, which is stunning with this gold roof, is a stone, huge stone, where it's believed that Isaac put Abraham put Isaac to sacrifice, where supposedly Adam was created, and where Prophet Muhammad, in his, if I get this incorrect, sorry to the Muslims if I get this incorrect, but I believe he in his dream flew to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which obviously wasn't there at that time. But that's where the point is. And then he walked to the Dome of the Rock, 200 meters in front, and that's where he rose to have his encounter with God, where he then from there
became the prophet.
And wrote the Quran. So in such an interesting place. And before that, it's understood that it was the original Jewish temple built by King Solomon. And so it's been fought over for decades by every empire. You name it. You pick an empire. They weren't an empire unless they had Jerusalem.
Exactly.
And when they had they all fought for Jerusalem and that point. So it was interesting to go there. I had done a lot of research before I went, which really helped me because when I met people there, there's a lot more to know, so you need to go with some information. We went on archaeological digs underneath the city of Jerusalem. Wow. Where we were 20 meters below the streets. And when we were there, they were uncovering pieces of history right then and there, and right in front of our eyes. And I also ended up in where one of the most significant archaeological findings has ever been found is in a place called Qumran, where they found the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the Dead Sea Scrolls were the oldest form of the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament of the Bible ever found. Right. And what was interesting about that is they found them with other scrolls, which gives us a lot of indication about how much the Bible has been altered since the previous day.
Because this is over 10,000 years.
So the Hebrew Bible would be about 3,500 years since Moses wrote it. Something like that. But there was also references to Jesus, which is interesting because they were written 200 years before Jesus.
Yes.
So now there's it was understandable that we weren't allowed in those caves. But we were in the caves because I actually.
That's why I was wondering how you got there.
So
special.
It was a bit of luck, really. We were filming down the bottom because we were told we weren't allowed in the caves. And a guy walks past and says, "Oh, what are you filming for?" And we said, "Oh, we've got a TV show. It's on Amazon Prime." And and he goes, "Oh, what's the nature of the show?" Well, it's all about adventures and discovering ancient history. He goes, "We're excavating Cave 63. Why don't you come and take a look?" Right? And so I went up there, and all of these guys are very dubious about who I am and what we're there to film. And I kind of loosened them up a little bit with a bit of talk about some of the things that I've been doing. And so anyway, we do this scene where I go into the cave and they're digging in there and they're pulling out pieces of pot all the time, little things that, they'll then date that and figure out what it all is. But it would have all been from the sort of Bedouin tribes that were living in those caves during that time, which they believe when the destruction of the Temple Mount happened, I forget which year it was, I think it was 70 AD, they took what was precious to them, which was these scrolls, and they brought them to the caves to hide them. Now, there's a lot that goes on in our show, which you see, and it's interesting. But what I can never really tell people is all the amazing things that goes on that we get to see. You
couldn't even put on the show.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of clips.
Yeah, there's a lot. So we have to pick the bits that are relevant. there's a lot of other things, and there's a lot of things that we just don't film, but we experience. And there was something that was quite interesting there. So all of these guys are, they're the modern day Indiana Joneses, right?
Wow.
And I talked with one guy, and I say, look, he's got a character. His name was Shlomi, and he was telling me all these stories, and he was really entertaining.
Yeah.
And I said, can we put you in the show? He's like, no, I don't do this. I'm not interested in this. So he didn't want to be in the show.
Yeah.
So it's fine. So anyway, I'm talking with him, and he goes, how long have you got here in Israel? We were actually in the West Bank of Palestine at the time. I said, well, we're here for another week. And he goes, do you have time to come and look at something? I said, we don't really have time for much because we're on a jam-packed schedule. He goes, look at this. He said, about 16 kilometers from here in the middle of the desert, we've been excavating something. It's a tunnel. It goes 150 meters below the surface in a diagonal line.
Yeah.
And he then started showing me photos and videos. It was tiny. But it was a man-made dug tunnel.
Wow.
And I said, have you released this, announced it? He goes, no, we haven't released it yet because we're still trying to find something more significant about that could tell us what it is. And I said, well, what do you think it is? He says, I don't know. And I said, well, do people live there? He said, no, people would have never lived down there. It was so small, like people wouldn't have lived there. I said, was it for water? He goes, no, it wouldn't be for water.
Yeah.
So I said, well, what's it for? And he says, the only thing we can think of, if it was to hide something.
Wow.
And he said, but the thing that we're concerned about is what was so precious.
That was hidden.
That they had to hide it 150 meters in solid stone.
Wow.
Thousands of years ago. And I looked at him and I said, the Ark of Covenants? And he said, maybe. And so like it's things like this, that I got so excited about the things that were happening there and the stories that come from that place. It's a very special place. These days it's politically
there's so much politics around it.
It's I couldn't go there without people saying, oh, you're this, you're that, and I'm like, look, I'm on a discovery and I'm going to find the Holy Land, right? Not Israel or Palestine. I couldn't care less about who calls it what nowadays, but to find and discover
the story
of the most significant place for over half the world's religions. Muslims, Jews, and Christians. That's over half the world, and so that was a really interesting adventure for me. It was a 10-day adventure.
Wow. You also do Sky in Dubai or something?
Guy in Dubai?
There was a show that you go on the sky.
Oh yeah, so this is it. This is Good Guy in the Sky. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, but you did some part of it in Dubai.
So I started off with a TV show in Dubai called Guy in Dubai.
Oh, okay.
And then I've created a travel show version called Guy in the Sky.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What station was that aired on? The Guy in Dubai.
So it's on Amazon Prime internationally. We were locally here on OSN. Now we're going on Dubai TV. We are on Apple TV, and we're on all the airlines as well. So
how do you get to be on all those platforms with your content?
You hassle them until they have a choice, right? They either call the police to get rid of you, or they just put it up, right? So you just So everything I've ever done has always been about just never getting, if they say no, then just give them some time until you come back again, just keep going at them. Wow. I always find you talk to a different person on a different day, you have a different answer. Somebody said something to me really, really just struck with me the other day. I was having a call with an author who has a big speaking career and all of this. And he said, I'm not convinced anybody knows what a good idea is. And I was like, you know what? That's really interesting. If you go to somebody with a TV show and say, look, I've created this show. It's called Guy in Dubai. It's about all the fun adventures about Dubai. That's not a good idea.
Very true.
If you go to them and say, I've got the show. We've done 40 episodes. It's on Amazon Prime.
Suddenly,
it's endorsed by so and so. You can read us in the magazine.
Now it's a good idea.
Now it's a good idea because everybody else says it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Right.
Very true.
So what you have to do is build all your little steps of validation.
Come on.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and when you've got enough reference points, then things become easier. So now when I go to bigger channels that I negotiate with, I have reference points. There's things that people can look at. There's videos. There's articles and magazines. I'm on platforms that were difficult to get on. I have ratings and viewership and all these things now, which make it easier. But to begin with, you've got to get that first one, that validation.
But for somebody watching this, how do you get to monetize your adventure? Because some of us, including myself, we love adventure. We have this content. Well, how do we make money from it? Because we spend a lot to just keep producing content.
Yeah. So there's a few different ways. So with my travel shows, I get the funding from the tourism boards.
Oh, okay.
Right. So basically, this is a promotion for their country. Because I have access to eyeballs. Okay. Right. So I can go to them and say I can put it on Amazon Prime. I can put it on the airlines. Yeah. And for them, that's valuable. They see the type of show that we create and they like the style, so that works. So that's where the money comes from for my travel shows is tourism boards. Yeah. My shows here in Dubai, it's product placement sponsors. Typically, the biggest ones have been automotive companies, right? But at the moment, a lot of them are having supply chain issues, so they're not really promoting much. It could be clothing companies or watch brands. Yeah. Sometimes venues, like we have had places that have sort of just paid for one episode. So there's always sort of ways to
monetize it.
Yeah.
The 40-day rule, how you across the Pacific, how you gonna monetize that?
So that's an interesting one. So we raise sponsorship to cover the cost of the operations anyway, which is a boat, race fees, food, all the medical things. And that itself comes to about £130,000.
Wow.
So what we thought was, well, if we add another £80,000 on for production, plus we also wanted to do a gala dinner for charity. So we thought, can we raise that much money? And what's interesting is if we were to just do the operational costs, then we've just got a challenge. But then we thought, well, if we then do the gala dinner, then we have a challenge plus charity. And then if we have the production, we have the challenge plus charity plus the media. And when you put the three together, they are actually more powerful than when they're individually on their own. So charity thing is something that allows brands to align with the causes that they actually want to support, but they also want to be branded and seen in that way. The media is what gets them the actual exposure, and the challenge is the buzz. So when you combine them together, it works.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. This is amazing. Guys, we've been with, of course, Paris Norris, adventurist. What else can we call you aside adventure?
You can call me anything you like.
Mediapreneur.
Yeah, you could call me that if you like. Yeah, right. I like that one. No one's ever called me that, but I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, mediapreneur, and we've been having a fantastic conversation here at this Billionaire Habit podcast. My next question is, in your journey across adventure, you've had travel all over the world. What do you think that the world needs from the richest of the richest?
Effectively, they have a role to allocate capital. So the wealthy people have a responsibility to do something with their money that allows it to go into the most effective places for society as general to function. Okay, so now you're seeing a lot of wealthy people get involved in philanthropy and putting it into projects that need it. I think certainly more of that needs to be done. It's quite interesting watching people like Elon Musk try things that are much bigger swings and bigger risk, because it's a bit crazy to be rich already and then to do something that
to take that level of risk.
I think that's a good thing because that's actually pushing things forward. And maybe more wealthy people should do that rather than get sort of conservative with things, but I understand we've got to protect our wealth as well. Who knows what will happen with Elon Musk's investments. So I think, that's their role, isn't it? Is to allocate capital in the most effective way. And I think they've got to look at unconventional ways of doing that. Not just, okay, I'm going to invest in banks and companies that give a standard return, but start investing in things that are actually going to push the human nations and human society forward a bit.
Absolutely.
I think that's...
I asked that because I just launched a $5 million fund for SMEs. We're giving 1,000 SMEs $5,000 grant.
Great.
To support businesses in Africa.
Amazing.
And I'm just excited about the future plan. In the next 5 years, the projection is that we'll have supported 1,000 businesses, and they probably will have employed 5 to 10 more people.
Yes.
And that gives you another 10,000 people employed.
Yes.
And that's just amazing being able to do that.
Oh, absolutely. And the great thing is the small entrepreneurs, especially on the ground in Africa, they say you need a African solution to an African problem.
Absolutely.
And you'll find that the innovations, because they are face to face with the actual real problems,
exactly,
that they're the better people to allocate that $5,000 than people who are sort of not seeing these problems as much. You know what I mean? Who maybe are not facing it every day.
Yeah.
So I think what you'll find now is you probably will find ideas that are coming to you from that are groundbreaking.
Yeah, absolutely.
That small bits of money can actually go a really long way.
Yes, absolutely. And
that's a fantastic project.
And I love that you're using your adventure not just for fun alone, but to promote causes that are changing the world. And good job you're doing. Thank you.
No, pleasure.
Thank you for coming on this awesome episode. So I normally take questions from my videographer or my audience.
He knows me.
Everybody wants to travel and see the world, but you go and do such things, you do research and stuff like this. That's why I'm asking, who's the guy in Dubai?
So the guy in Dubai is an imaginary character that I thought of in about November 2014, where I sort of thought, if I didn't have to work, if I was independently wealthy, what would I do? And then I had to think about that for a while, and I thought, well, I certainly wouldn't do nothing. I'm definitely active. Yeah. I thought, well, I like people, so I like partying, and I like adventures. I'd want to climb Everest, as you mentioned earlier. Yeah. I'd want to do things like I'm doing, rowing across the Pacific Ocean. Yeah. I want to see the world. So I thought, well, why don't I create this character? I'll apply for the job. I got it. Great. Yeah. and I'll create this character and make a show about it. And I already understood the mechanics of TV shows and how I could bring in sponsors as long as I had TV stations. Yeah. So I told the TV stations I had the sponsors. I told the sponsors I had the TV stations. And it was all a lie until they both said yes. And then I started creating this, I guess what was an imaginary character, but was really just the guy I wanted to become. And I don't know where that curiosity came from and why other people maybe don't fulfill their curiosities in the same way. I think it requires some moment of inspiration to kind of just sort of realize that time is short and we have to do everything that we would want to do. It would be a shame to die and be able to look back and say, was there anything left that you wanted to do, and go, oh God, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And in fact, we might not even be able to do that. I kind of thought, right, well, do everything that you sort of think you like. So that's where the curiosity came from.
Live your life.
Yes. There's some urgency in there that I don't expect that. I believe I will have a long life, but life has a nice way of leaving things till later. So when you are an older man, you will enjoy being a grandfather, and that will be what you want to do. as a 37-year-old, I'm now trying to enjoy what a 37-year-old can do. And a couple of years ago, I thought, if you're going to do any kind of serious physical challenge, do it now.
Wow.
So if you're going to row an ocean, climb a mountain, do anything like this, do it now, because that's not something you want to do when you're 70. So, you know, but I know that life will unfold new adventures for me as I get older.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been a wonderful conversation with Norris Paris, and thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate this.
It's a pleasure.
Right, it's really nice meeting you. See you next week. Bye bye.